Black Ops 6 is here, and with it comes 33 new weapons to try out, and if you're grinding anything out for camos or something, 33 new weapons to end up mastering. So which ones are the best? Today I want to run down my list of the top 10 weapons that I've been enjoying so far. Some weapons in the game I haven't had as much time with as compared to others, but these we're discussing today, I've had a blast ranking up and camo grinding for all of them. So drop your thoughts as we go along on what your preferred weapons and builds are. If there's anything that you'd like to add to this list, feel free to share. If you enjoyed the video, you find it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And of course, make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all things Black Ops 6 and join us on that road to 600,000 subscribers. We're still just getting started with all the Black Ops 6 coverage. A lot more on deck you guys won't want to miss, so I'd love to have you in the community. But for now, let's get into it. First, a little bit of context and housekeeping. This is still early on. There's still a lot of weapons and a lot of builds to play around with, so I'm not saying that this list today is the definitive top 10 weapons that you should be using, but rather my top 10 favorite weapons that I've been enjoying ranking up and playing with so far. There's lots of variability in builds and a lot of things that we can still try and perfect here because we are still so early on into the year. And as you'll see, there's pretty much a pattern to the level of balance I try to take with the builds across all the weapons we'll talk about today, most of at least, trying to balance control, ADS, and mobility attributes. But anyways, let's get into it. The first weapon is one that I'm sure you could probably guess, the XM4. This is the jack of all trades weapon. Said it in the beta, said it again. It is a weapon that's phenomenal whether you're a brand new beginner, this is your first Call of Duty, or you're a seasoned veteran. It's just a fun weapon to play around with. You can kit it out properly so you can end up getting some decent mobility out of it, but also still having decent control, a decent rate of fire, and decent lethal damage. The build that I've been using since the beta and still to this day is the Microflex optic, just for that little red dot or green dot precision. The reinforced barrel, the extended mag 1, I find that 30 you can get away with in terms of that mag size, but I like to have a little bit more extra just to work with. And the extended mag 1 doesn't take too much in terms of your mobility away or increase that reload speed by a detrimental amount. The commando grip and then the light stock as well. Again, giving a nice little blend of control, but also a bit more mobility. So it's a lot of fun to run and gun with this one, and I think you might enjoy this as well. The AK is next up on deck here, where this one has a little more kick, a little more power, and slows down that rate of fire a little bit by comparison to the XM4. And that trade-off does make it something that is a little bit more lethal in a lot of combat situations, but it's one of those ones that might come down to preference if you are somebody that likes a faster firing rifle or something that's just a little more hard-hitting. Both of which I think are phenomenal options and play the sort of jack of all trades call out pretty well. And for this, we do kind of build it the exact same way. I still end up running that Microflex optic, reinforced barrel, the extended mag 1, the commando grip, and then the light stock. So it really comes down to if you really want a little more power out of the weapon for a little less rate of fire, or something that's a little bit more mobile and something that's a little more fast firing. So depends on the map, depends on the day, but both very good options. The AS VAL is the next weapon that I would absolutely throw in on the rifle category because, I mean, it's a level 55 unlock. You might have expected, yeah, it's going to be pretty good at that point if it's gate kept until the very end of the progression track, but it truly is a lot of fun to play around with this weapon. I loved it the entire time that I did. I actually stayed at level 55, no prestige, just so I could get it gold before I ended up jumping back in to the leveling progression, just because I wanted to get it done. It was that much fun. But might be a little tough to get used to, perhaps. It's got a small mag size, base of 20, a fast rate of fire, and it's something that with those two together, obviously you're burning through your ammo, having to reload quite a bit. But if you can manage, it's an absolute headshot machine. Again, I got this thing gold, but I think I want to say I got it gold and just under, or maybe like right around 400 kills. I know I don't have that mastery badge for it just yet, and I forget what the number was last time I checked, but it was like surprisingly fast with headshots because it's just that good if you can end up aiming high. For this, I'll end up running the suppressed reinforced barrel, the Ranger foregrip, the flip mag, the commando grip, and the no stock option. This giving you a bit more mobility. Of course, you can kit this out for a bit more control if you would like, but for this, I was kind of just flying around with this thing, just snapping to enemies' domes. The one thing that I will say is a little strange is the flip mag is obviously just supposed to be increasing that reload speed, but this actually also offers an additional 5 rounds per magazine. So you do get a little bit more in terms of like a mini extended mags plus faster reload speed. So I like that build a lot. And then the GPR-91 is the last weapon we'll talk about in the rifle category, where this was a fun rifle to play around with. Truthfully, I don't think that I played around with this as much as the other rifles we just mentioned, but it was a lot of fun still. You can kit it out nicely that if you're okay with the iron sights, you can get away with the build that we talk about here in a second, but if not, you might want to sacrifice either an attachment or take the gunfighter wildcard, because the iron sights aren't my favorites, but they're also not the worst I've ever seen, so I try to manage. For this, we run the basic building blocks of the couple of builds we've already talked about, where we have the reinforced barrel, we have the Ranger foregrip, the extended mag 1, the quick draw grip, and then we do the recoil springs because it offers both horizontal and vertical recoil control, whereas you're kind of sacrificing one or the other with some of the attachments, like in the muzzle category or the underbarrel category. So those recoil springs are definitely a nice thing to have, I think. But that rounds out our rifles. Let's jump over to some SMGs because, again, there's quite a few here that I think are worth talking about. Firstly, when it comes to the weapons you'll end up encountering, the C9 is the first one there because it's the default SMG. This one, while there are probably better options, I'd say, throughout the leveling track, it is, especially as a starter weapon, pretty dang good. It's a lot of fun, it can pack a punch, and you can kit it out to be quite mobile. So if you're a movement demon, you can end up getting something nice out of this. We don't really do that here for this, so the build that you're gonna see doesn't necessarily reflect a movement demon build, but anyways, the C9 is definitely one that's a lot of fun and has treated me pretty nicely. For this, I end up running the compensator, the reinforced barrel, Ranger foregrip, flip mag, and the commando grip. Now, if I really feel like it, I will swap out the compensator for the no stock option. That's something that I've done here a little bit, but while going for headshots, getting this gold, I wanted a bit more stability in that build, so I sacrificed it there, but I might go back to it eventually. But the C9, a lot of fun. The KSV next reminds me a lot of the AK-74U from prior games, but it's got a bit of bounce to the weapon when firing that might take some getting used to, but it is solid for mobility, decent on power. Again, I think it might be outpaced by a couple of other weapons, but it's still a lot of fun to play, and a great weapon I think that earlier on in the leveling progression, you can do very well with. For this, I also run the compensator, reinforced barrel, the Ranger foregrip, the commando grip, and the balanced stock. This giving a little bit more of that sort of balance between control but also mobility where applicable. So that's one of those things that you can change this if you'd like, but that's what was working well for me. The Jackal PDW, I mean, do we even need to say anything? From the beta, it was the best gun. It's not the best now, but it's still pretty dang good. Like, I'd still probably say it is absolutely worthy of being in this top 10 list, maybe even a top 5 position. But for this, I'd recommend the reinforced barrel, Ranger foregrip, extended mag 1, the quick draw grip, and the balanced stock. Now, I've been going with a quick draw grip just as a sort of clarification because I'm not doing a whole ton of diving or sliding unless I'm doing special challenges. Like, I don't necessarily feel like I need to have that extra little hair of slide to fire speed while doing that. I'd rather take the ADS time because that's something that I can challenge a gunfight at any distance, not necessarily just sliding into enemies. But the Jackal, still phenomenal. The Tanto 22 is the last SMG we'll talk about here today, and this one is a much slower firing SMG, but it packs the most punch out of the SMGs. So it reminds me of the Milano from Black Ops Cold War, and I actually think within Warzone it's going to act very similarly to that and how we saw within Black Ops Cold War's year of support in Warzone and Verdansk. And having played Area 99 already at COD Next, pending no like evisceration of this weapon and weapon balancing, it was by and far the best SMG to have out of that like hour and a half of playtime that I ended up getting. So highly would recommend ranking this one up and maybe getting some camos if you care about that, but also just trying it out in MP. For this, I'd recommend the reinforced barrel, Ranger foregrip, extended mag 1, commando grip, and the balanced stock. Again, you're probably seeing this trend here, and for good reason. It all fits how I like to play the game. If you'd like to change something else for yourself, feel free to. The DM10 is the 9th weapon I'll talk about here today, and this one, it is an interesting one that it's very good as a marksman rifle, but it's one of those ones that, like, I'm putting this here because it's great in its own category, but I still think it's outclassed in most engagements just because of the recoil, rate of fire, magazine capacity, and everything. Like, I'd prefer on a regular day to take an XM4, but it's going to be something that grinding weapon camos, DM10 is great, and I think in Warzone it's going to be something that could be potentially pretty powerful as well, keeping a marksman rifle sort of meta alive, whereas previously we've seen battle rifles. This kind of reminds me of like the KV inhibitor from earlier this year within Warzone, where you had that 2-shot potential in Warzone. For this, I had been running Gunfighter, so I have 8 attachments of the Prismatech 4x compensator, reinforced barrel, weighted handguard, fast mag 1, commando grip, light stock, and rapid fire. But if you want to use a different wild card, the 5 attachments I would probably say are rapid fire, the compensator, Prismatech 4x, weighted handguard, and maybe that reinforced barrel. But again, it gets kind of preference based at that point on what you're trying to end up using it for. And the final weapon we'll talk about is the PU-21, an LMG that I think has potential, but I don't quite know where it sits in the grand scheme of things just yet. Like, this is my number 10 of 10 for sure, because like I said earlier in the video, we're still very early on in this year where this could be wrong. Maybe I'm just enjoying it because I had fun with it. But for this, I'd recommend the reinforced barrel, the fast mag, the commando grip, balanced stock, and the recoil springs. So let me know your thoughts down below. What do you guys think of this list? Anything that you would add to it? Whatever the case, let me know. But I want to share with you guys the weapons that I've been rocking here in day 1 and day 2 so that hopefully they can give you some benefit here in your gameplay experience as well. For now, that is going to wrap it up. Let me know your thoughts down below. As well, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like on it. Of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing learning all things Black Ops 6 as we chase down 600,000 subscribers. For now, though, I'm going to get back to grinding out some COD. Maybe I'll see you guys out there, but thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.